valuable FD.
A very good evening. You're watching Prime Time News here on TV1, coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Before we move on with our bulletin, here's a look at your headlines for this evening.
East Container Terminal of the Colombo Port to be offered to Japan. Trade unions up in arms against attempts to sell the port. Minister Kanchana warns of extended power cuts if tariff hike not allowed. Chancellor of the University of Ruhuna warns of consequences of the electricity tariff hike.
කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලය අනුමත කළා නම් විදුලි බිල වැඩි කිරීම ඒක ඉතාමත්ම ආණ්ඩුවේ බරපතල තත්ත්වයකට මුහුණ දෙනවට කිසිම අනුමානයක් නැහැ.
Gala party for the ruling faction MPs and minister, a revelation from the opposition. Sirasa Shakti book donation drive launched.
Starting off with your top story this evening, China says that it attaches high importance to Sri Lanka's difficulties and challenges.
Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning told a briefing yesterday that China had long-standing sound cooperation with the IMF and other international economic and financial institutions and supports the financial institutions in working out ways with Sri Lanka to properly solve the issue. She said that China also hopes that the relevant countries and international financial institutions will work with China and continue to play a constructive role in helping Sri Lanka overcome the current difficulties, ease its debt burden and realize sustainable development.
The World Bank has approved Sri Lanka's eligibility to access concessional financing from the International Development Association.
Concessional financing from the International Development Association, or the IDA, is offered at low interest rates and will enable Sri Lanka to implement its government-led reform program to stabilize the economy and protect the livelihood of millions of people facing poverty and hunger. The request is the result of Sri Lanka's sustained deterioration in economic and social conditions, which have reduced income levels, reversed poverty gains, and affected its access to financial markets. This approval means Sri Lanka now becomes an IDA country. Through IDA support, the World Bank will provide concessional financing, technical assistance and policy advice as Sri Lanka implements reforms to drive recovery and enhance the country's economic prospects, especially measures directed towards the poor. Access to IDA's concessional financing would also alleviate existing debt service pressures given the more favorable terms IDA financing carries. As an IDA country, Sri Lanka will also be subject to IDA operational policies. The World Bank, Asian Development Bank, International Monetary Fund and Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank representatives have decided that a coordinated assistance program supported by the multilateral financial institutions is required for Sri Lanka to recover from the economic crisis the country is currently facing. They reached the agreement following a lengthy roundtable discussion today with President Ranil Wickremesinghe in Colombo. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has presented Sri Lanka's development program associated with the economic recovery and growth along with the vision for long-term development. The roundtable discussion was held with the Vice President of the World Bank, Martin Reiser, Vice President of the Asian Development Bank, Shi Zin Shen, IMF's Senior Mission Chief, Peter Brewer, and Dr. Urjit Patel of the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, along with the senior officials of those institutions who are currently in Sri Lanka. President Ranil Wickremesinghe spoke to the Sri Lanka Economic Summit 2022 in Colombo yesterday and elaborated on Sri Lanka's debt restructuring process.
We are now discussing with our creditors, bilateral creditors, not the Paris Club but with India, and we've had very successful talks. And we have started talks with China. And they've asked us to talk with the Exim Bank, and the talks are going on. The talks with China started later because it had to start after the party conference. They wanted it. So we started the talks. Haven't seen a major issue that has come up so far. We hope we can conclude it fast, but that doesn't mean that we are out of the woods. We start next year with a big hole of about 3 to 400 billion rupees. That's what the CB is going to cost us. We start from there. How do we handle it? If you want the government to fund it, then we'll have to get the printing presses going. I mean, we are paying not only for the increase in price of coal and fuel, but also for bad management. Now, this is the first issue we have. Are we to adjust the prices and face the consequences, or are we to do nothing and hope someone will help us? Now, this is the first question that all of us have to answer. If you have to go ahead, there's only one thing you can do. There are no options. And I presume I'll get blackguarded again for that.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe stated that steps would be taken to introduce a strong new economic system that can face 2050 without implementing economic reforms that offer no solutions to the current economic crisis. He also invited Japan to invest in the East Container Terminal of the Colombo port.
I personally have no plans for reform, and the government will not have plans for reform. We want to build a new economy that will face 2050. Is the private sector ready for it? That's the only question I have to ask you. Are we ready for it? Are we going to take up the challenge? Shall we take the pain that comes with it? Or are we going to hide again? Ostrich cannot put its neck under the carpet all the time. And sometime it has to come out. What have we got first? We have to earn foreign exchange, foreign exchange, foreign exchange. Why can't we have a balance of trade? Why can't it be in a surplus? Can you put into a surplus? If not, we can't survive. If you want to survive and you have to compete with the world, then we have to be competitive. Not competitive, we've got to be highly competitive. When I last tried to develop the Colombo harbour and tried to give out the East Terminal, a big debate as to why I am trying to sell the country. Now we have given the West Terminal out, it's very good. But if you really want to get going, you have to give the East Terminal out. We've given the first choice to Japan. If they don't, we'll ask the others to come in. Colombo port must be the busiest port in South Asia. The small port won't do, so when you get full, we are now talking of, we are thinking of expanding the Colombo port all the way to Java. A logistics center. Already about 30 acres have been cleared in Colombo North, 20 or 30 acres to start one part of it. There will be more land becoming available. You connect it and look at Hambantota and Trincomalee. You have the three best ports available in.
Sri Lanka's Minister of Power and Energy warned of extended power cuts of 6 to 8 hours daily next year if electricity tariffs are not increased.
It is said that the drought conditions are likely to be experienced in 2023 and the country would not experience rainfall like it did in this year. If we face a drought and if we don't receive enough rainfall, our hydropower generation will drop and the cost to produce a unit of electricity will be 56 rupees and 90 cents. In August, the Public Utilities Commission did not approve the amendments requested by the Ceylon Electricity Board. The Ceylon Electricity Board incurred a power generation cost of 800 billion rupees. However, the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka only approved an amendment that would cover 500 billion rupees. The amendment alone came after 9 years and it cost us 423.5 billion rupees. This money must come from the treasury or the people. The Ceylon Electricity Board has only options. We are aware that the treasury will not grant an amount of 423.5 billion rupees. Either the tariff system needs to be updated to cover the costs. If none of this happens, the country needs to prepare to experience power cuts of 6 to 8 hours daily.
The chairman of the Public Utilities Commission was appointed by the government. He tells the news media that there is no need for a tariff increase, but the minister says the opposite.
When I proposed 36 rupees for solar power, it was rejected and branded as a mafia. There is no mafia in solar power. If there are investors, propose rooftop hydro solar system and obtain the required amount.
රත්න හාමුදුරුවෝ හැමදාම අපේ ගරු කතානායකතුමනි මම හිතන්නේ පන්සිල් පදවලින් මොකද්ද කැඩුවේ නැත්තේ කියලා තමයි හොයාගන්න තියෙන්නේ. ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ කෙනෙකුට අපහාස ව්‍යාකරණ මෙහෙම කතා කරන්න බෑ. හරි ඒක විදුලි බල මණ්ඩලය
CEB Power Station incur a production cost of 96.64 rupees to generate a unit of electricity. This is the reality. We need new power plants. We cannot install them at once. If we are providing continuous electricity, we need to amend the tariff. I will reveal about the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka. He had hotels. I will reveal how the distribution is done for hotels and apartments.
අඩු කරලා විදුලිය කොහොමද බෙදලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා.
We will have to spend 200 to 300 million for the barge mounted plant. That is why I made a simple proposal.
මට මතකයි
I recall Venerable Ratanathero noting that Adani was going for 40 rupees and now he is calling for 60 rupees. That is wrong. I am not sure who he is representing.
The ruling party is having a gala dinner today at the water's edge. Last week a similar event took place at Temple Trees for the ruling faction. Who's bearing the cost for these parties? Which institution is covering the cost? People have been deprived of 3 healthy meals per day. The children are starving and malnutrition is rising. In such situation, who is funding these weekly gala dinners for the ruling faction? Now the minister warns of extended power cuts. The people who created this crisis is partying while the public is suffering. Minister Kanchana Wijesekara is threatening to terminate the power supply if due are not paid. That is fine. During Gotabaya Rajapaksa's time, the power cuts lasted for almost 12 hours. People stepped out to streets against the government and Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Go ahead and cut the power for 24 hours and the same will repeat against President Ranil Wickremesinghe, who can then deploy the forces against the people.
The Chancellor of Ruhunu University, Venerable Dr. Akurete Nandathera, commented on the proposed electricity tariff increase.
මහජනතාවගේ මේ ඉවසීම වර්ධව වටහා ගන්නට එපා.
Don't misunderstand this tolerance of the people. The Aragale did not start from the golf face. It was started by housewives. That's what went a long way, and then the farmers and those representing various industries joined in support. The youth kept it going. Therefore, do not think that the next struggle will be stopped by only burning down the houses of the ministers. There is no doubt if the cabinet approves the increase in electricity bill in this way, the government will face a very serious situation. We hope to take actions against this legally.
මේ පිළිබඳව නීති මගින් කටයුතු කරන්නට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
The National Trade Union Coordinating Centre, including teachers, healthcare workers and port workers, carried out their island-wide protest campaign for the second day on Tuesday.
The National Trade Union Coordinating Centre, including teachers, healthcare workers and port workers, carried out their island-wide protest campaign for the second day on Tuesday. These protests were carried out highlighting several key issues faced by the public, including the selling off of profit-making government entities and for not providing relief for people who are severely burdened due to the economic crisis. The workers of the Colombo port carried out their demonstration near the port entrance.
Ranil Wickremesinghe is aiming to sell off every inch of land in the Colombo port. The people of this country came together once to save the East Container Terminal. But today Ranil Wickremesinghe is conspiring to sell off this East Container Terminal. Today we need approval in writing from Sagala Ratnayaka for even a minor project in the Colombo port. We kindly urge Ranil Wickremesinghe to not to take away the hard-earned earnings of our working masses.
The employees of the Inland Revenue Department also took to the streets against the selling off of state-owned entities.
We urge the government to take necessary action to provide relief to the woes faced by the innocent people of this country. If not, as the working community of this country, we will take to the streets. We need to make it clear that if you don't respond to this today, it will be impossible for you to stop a protest wave which is way bigger than this.
The employees of the Electricity Board held their demonstrations in front of the head office of the Ceylon Electricity Board.
The government has a new interpretation for their restructuring program. In order to bring dollars to the country, they are trying to sell away the Ceylon Electricity Board to a foreign company. On the other hand, they are trying to give away the Lakshapana power station to a Korean company. Minister of Power on his Twitter handle is boasting himself and is tweeting telling that he can cut off the employees' count by half. That is not the solution to this issue. If you are not ready to consider our demands, we are warning the ruling faction and the president. We will not allow you to carry out this move.
The All Ceylon Transport Employees Union also carried out their demonstration in Colombo Fort on Tuesday.
We have received information of a plot to loot away the EPF through the 2023 budget. This warning goes to the ruling faction, including President Ranil Wickremesinghe. If you try to do this, we will rally all our workers and we will save our EPF.
University student federations affiliated to the National Trade Union Coordinating Center also held their demonstrations in front of the Colombo University on Tuesday. Meanwhile, the healthcare workers also carried out several demonstrations in front of hospitals on Tuesday. This is the protest that took place in front of the Dabula Base Hospital.
No one is concerned on the shortcomings we have in the hospitals. We are facing these issues every day. We can't just let a patient die just because we don't have a plaster to wrap around his wound or a nasal tube. Yes, we get a salary, which is barely enough to survive. But there are many people in this country who don't have anything. And today, these innocent people are suffering in silence because of Ranil Wickremesinghe, who doesn't even hold a proper mandate.
This is the protest that took place in front of the National Hospital in Colombo.
This cannot continue like this. As healthcare workers, even we find it difficult to survive off our wage. Therefore, we will have to start another Aragale soon.
This demonstration took place in front of the Kurunegala Teaching Hospital.
We are in this today not because of us, but because of these politicians who ruined this country for the past 74 years. Today we are made to suffer for what they did.
Protests also took place in front of hospitals in the north and eastern provinces as well. Fishermen from the Uravatta fishing community protested against the proposed decision to increase electricity tariffs on Tuesday. Dozens of fishermen led torches and protested against the government and the decision to hike the electricity tariff.
More news will come your way after this short commercial break. Stay tuned.
News First, main sponsor.
25% for 2 months, 25.5% for 4 months. Valuable FD, a trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, 25% for 2 months, 25.5% for 4 months. Valuable FD, the symbol of stability.
Welcome back to the news. The Sirasa Shakti Potyatra book donation drive was launched in Colombo on Tuesday, aimed at student population in Sri Lanka.
The children are the future of this country. Today, every single person is working towards providing a better future for their children. Unfortunately, the today of the children of tomorrow is not a bed of roses. Some children are suffering from malnutrition, while many others are facing a challenge in accessing education, which is their right. Therefore, this Christmas, the MTV MPC network decided to launch the Alut Pothak Satutu Hitak Sirasa Shakti Potyatra, aimed to foster a better future for the children of Sri Lanka. The official launch took place at the city office premises of the capital Maharaja Group in Colombo on Tuesday afternoon, amidst the blessings of the religious leaders.
Every December, the MTV MBC network colourfully decorates these premises for Christmas. We've been doing this for almost a decade, but we thought this time should be different. We understand the people lined as straits. With the leadership of our chairman, Sashiraja Mahendran, and the guidance of the religious leaders, we decided this year, instead of organising the Sirasa Shakti Christmas Zone, we will be doing something for the poor children's education, especially in the rural parts of Sri Lanka.
Religious leaders also blessed this initiative.
The Archdiocese decided that Christmas this year should be celebrated with the poor and needy. We urge the Catholic community and every single citizen in this country not to waste anything. Festivities at supermarkets and restaurants will not end the hunger of the people. We request the Capital Maharaja Group and the media network not to waste money this Christmas with the Christmas Zone and instead deliver books and stationery to the poor children in the country. Christmas is a spiritual event, and you must follow the spiritual teachings to do good for others. Rather than wasting money on unnecessary things this Christmas, support the poor families in this country, at least by addressing their hunger. Therefore, I appeal to all citizens not to use Christmas as a sales tool and use Christmas to share among others. That will bring about the true meaning of Christmas.
කරුණා කරලා නත්තල බෙදා ගැනීමේ අවස්ථාවක් කරගන්න. එතකොට තමයි නත්තලේ සැබෑ අර්ථය අපි තේරුම් ගත්තා කියලා අපිට පෙන්වන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ.
මේ වසරේ සිරස
The children from our diocese have also supported this endeavour with the Sirasa and Shakti Media Network. Therefore, not only children but families will bring about change this Christmas, giving renewed meaning to Christmas.
Several donors symbolically handed over school books and stationery items to the Sirasa Shakti Pothayatra at the event. School students from different parts of Colombo, LB Finance, Motha Confectionery Works Private Limited and the Rotary Club of Colombo Metropolitan were among the donors. The Sirasa Shakti Pothayatra book donation drive will continue until the 24th of December and you can donate exercise books, colouring books, pencils, pastels, rulers and colour pencils among others to the following collection points. Head Office of the Capital Maharaja Group in Colombo 2, the Panama Studio Complex, Stein Studios Rathmalana, Echelon Square in Colombo, Kandy City Centre. The Catholic Church, Church of Ceylon and the Methodist Church joined hands with the Sirasa Shakti Pothayatra. They too will collect donations and deliver to the Sirasa Shakti Pothayatra. The collection point at Echelon Square in Colombo opened on Tuesday evening. The stationery items that you donate will be delivered directly to the children during Christmas.
Government has taken the initiative to support the people of Sri Lanka who have been battered by the economic crisis this Christmas season.
Government launched a program to deliver dry rations to the families that are worst affected by the country's economic crisis to bring joy this Christmas season. Selected low-income making families living in the Kumbulumulla village in the Yatiyantota Divisional Secretariat were delivered dry ration packs by Gammadda. This program will take place throughout the month of December, covering all 25 districts in Sri Lanka.
We now cross over to a short commercial break. Stay tuned.
Ivan satutin inni wiring karala wiring kirwe Eslon polycon yodala.
For your safety and the protection of the wires used in networking and AC wiring, Eslon Polycon cable trunking.
Welcome back to the news. Student activists Vasantha Muthilige and Venerable Galwava Siridhamma Thero were released on bail by the Kaduwala Magistrates Court on Tuesday. Vasantha Muthilige will remain in remand custody until the 12th of December, pending a separate legal matter.
Student activists Vasantha Muthilige and Venerable Galwava Siridhamma Thero were produced to the Kaduwala Magistrates Court on Tuesday about a protest that took place opposite the Education Ministry in May 2022. A silent protest took place opposite the court when they were escorted to the premises. President's Counsel Saleh Piris led a group of attorneys to represent Vasantha Muthilige and Venerable Galwava Siridhamma Thero. Venerable Galwava Siridhamma Thero was produced in an identification parade on Tuesday. However, the police officers failed to positively identify him. Therefore, the magistrate ordered to grant them bail. Vasantha Muthilige and Venerable Galwava Siridhamma Thero were detained for 89 days under the Prevention of Terrorism Act and were thereafter produced in court on the 17th of November.
The case was filed under the Public Property Act. The document on the damage doesn't relate to the loss but the estimate to fix a new gate. The court observed that the report on the estimate produced by the police is not sufficient. In addition, the education status of the students was considered and they were granted bail.
දැන් මේ දින 90 රඳවාගෙන හිටියා මොන වගේ තත්ත්වයක්ද ඇතුළේ ඇත්තටම තිබුණේ ඉදිරියේදී අපි මාධ්‍ය සාකච්ඡාවක් කරමු පුරවල් විශේෂණාත්මක මාධ්‍ය සාකච්ඡාවකින් එක කියන්න බැරියි ඒ මොකක් හරි එහෙම අපහසුතාවක් තියෙනවා දැනට විමර්ශන කටයුතු යන තත්ත්වය තමයි තියෙන්නේ
Vasantha Muthilige was taken back to remand custody as he was remanded for a separate case until the 12th of December.
Sri Lankan opposition leader Sajith Premadasa said that no matter what obstacles arise, as a progressive opposition, the programs for education and health will be strengthened.
42 school bus under the Sakvala program, a concept by opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, was delivered to the Siri Saman Vidyalaya in Daranyagala on Tuesday. The bus that was donated costs 4.6 million rupees.
එක පවුලක් එකතු වෙලා මේ රට විනාශ කරා. හැබැයි මතක තියාගන්න ඒ අයගේ පිඟානට හොඳ සුපිරි කෑම වේලක් ලැබෙනවා.
One family ruined this country. Their plates are always full and their kids and families will never go in hunger. They have plenty of resources. They looted the country and led it to bankruptcy. They want the 22 million people to bear this burden. That is why they want to increase the electricity tariff and cooking gas prices. We are told that the parties are organized to ensure the budget is passed. But the 4.3 million students and 22 million people are left helpless. No matter what obstacle arises, we will not back down. We will continue our program for education and health. As a progressive opposition, we will continue with the program of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya.
සමගි ජන බලවේගයේ වැඩසටහන අපි ඉදිරියට කරගෙන යනවා කියන එක මම බොහොම ආඩම්බරෙන් තමුන්නාසෙන් ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා.
අනුපමේයයි මැතිතුනි ගයට පීඩන කැකුළු මල් පොඩි.
The National Day of Thailand was celebrated in Colombo on Monday.
Thailand National Day was celebrated in Colombo with the participation of many diplomats and local politicians. The Thai ambassador to Sri Lanka, along with other officials of the embassy, were also present. December 5th is considered as a special day in the Kingdom of Thailand, as it was declared by the Royal Thai government as the national day of the country. This also commemorates the birth anniversary of His Majesty the late King Bhumibol Adulyadej and Thailand's Father's Day.
This is our first National Day reception since 2019. Earlier this year, BIMSTEC has concluded successfully under Sri Lankan chairmanship and Thailand the implementation of BIMSTEC Charter. Bilaterally, Sri Lanka and Thailand will resume our negotiation of free trade agreement in early January 2023 with the expected durable outcome by the end of next year, with the prospective conclusion of FTA between our two countries. So the overall contribution from Thailand is estimated to be more than 300 million rupee, reflecting Thailand's effort to help the friend in need.
And this brings us to an end of Primetime News here on TV1. For more of these stories, you can log on to our website, which is www.newsfirst.lk. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Razif Van. Take care and good night.